Okay, we're recording. Yay.
Yay.
Hello, people of
Hi.
the internet.
Hello, interweb peoples.
Right. Please introduce yourself, Michael.
Hi, I'm Michael Caneva with Terror in the Corn Haunted House up at Anderson Farms out of Erie, Colorado.
Nice, nice. And how long have you been with Terror in the Corn?
I've been there since 2020, actually. So this is going on my 5th season.
Oh, nice. Heck yeah.
What a year to start.
I know.
You're right.
I know. Well, it was a bit of a situation there because I was with City of the Dead for 7 years. They were down at the Mile High Flea Market in Denver. And when 2020 and COVID happened, they decided not to open that haunt. So I just decided to pop over to Terror in the Corn just for the year because since they were up in the country, they had a little bit fewer restrictions. So they were allowed to operate. Plus, being an outdoor haunt helped that as well.
Great.
I just ended up liking the crew and everything so much. I just kind of never went back. They haven't opened City of the Dead since then. So there's been nothing to go back to. So I've just been pleased as punch over here at Terror in the Corn.
Heck yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I went through City of the Dead a couple times out at the Denver flea market.
It was an amazing haunt. I was proud of what we did out there.
Yeah, especially for being in like a circus tent, it was amazing. Like what?
You never would have known it once you got inside the haunt, though.
Really?
Yeah, it
You
was
felt
really
like
crazy. Yeah,
Huh.
it was really, really cool. One of the things that stick out for me is like when you first get in, there was that photo opportunity.
uh-huh.
And I was like, man, like more haunts need to incorporate like photo opportunities like that because I think it's cool to be interactive, you know?
Right. Yeah, we're actually working on adding a couple of photo ops here at Terror in the Corn, hopefully for this 2024 season.
So, like, you'll go through and get a photo, like, there'll be a spot to kind of like slow down, get a photo, and then keep going, or.
They'll actually be after you come out of the exit, but before you
Okay.
exit the grounds, there's probably going to be 2 spots where you can sit and take photographs. And then we're hoping in our VIP section, if we get approval to make the VIP building the way we want to, that we'll also have a special unique photo op that only our VIPs get a chance to do.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Some of that's still up in the air right now, though. So
Yeah.
don't hold me to the fire on that, but that's the plans.
I don't know what you said. No idea. I heard nothing.
There's a lot of if this goes right and this goes right, then this is what we're going to do.
Right.
Such is the haunt industry, you know, like, hey, I want to build this really cool room. Well, we don't have this. Fuck.
I
Okay.
get a lot of actors pitching me ideas, and it's sometimes it's like, that's a really cool idea, and I'd really like to see that in a haunt someday. You do realize you just pitched me about a $500,000 haunt room, right? Like, in order to make it work the way you imagine it.
Yeah, there's like some ideas are really cool when you're like, yeah, I could do that in like 5 minutes, and then other ones you're like, in about 30 years we'll do that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna start saving $5 every day for 30 years to be able to afford that ideal.
Right.
So that I can build this one cool room idea that I have.
Right.
Yeah. Right on. So how did you get involved in haunted houses? And
So I started way back in 2010 was my first year in the industry, and I was just a home haunter then. For the past couple of years before that, so 2008, 2009, maybe even going back to 2007, we were throwing great big lavish Halloween parties where we were decorating our entire house and essentially converting 2, 3, sometimes 4 rooms of the house into a little haunted house.
Oh, nice.
That turned into, well, if we're going to buy this much Halloween stuff, maybe we should try to do some kind of a home haunt. So we moved it from inside the house to outside the house. We were sitting at the time on about a 1/4 acre of land. So I ran them through my garage out into the backyard and then all the way around the land till they got to the side front gate, and they just came around the front of the house again. So by the time I got finished with my home haunt, we ran for 4 years. And at the end, we were 5,000 square feet, 25 rooms, and I was employing, I think, 20 actors in those 25 rooms.
Oh, wow.
We had, I mean, we were the most professional home hunt you've ever seen. We had insurance, we had an employee handbook, because at the time there was no way to really get any information about how to learn how to haunt except for from the pros. So
Right.
I was taking advice from guys like Alan Hops, and I was applying that to my home haunt and running what I ended up finding out later is a tighter ship at my home haunt than most of these professional haunts are running out here. So
No.
I didn't know that at the time. We were just taking the steps that the advice that people were giving us of what the next step was we should do based on whatever problem we had.
Right.
But in those 4 years, I really look at that home haunting experience as kind of like my college years in the haunt industry almost, because there are so many things that I learned firsthand. You know, that first year that we ran as a home haunt, I did everything myself.
Yeah.
And that was on purpose because I wanted to know, how do you build it? How do you conceptually design it? How do you put actors in it? How do you train those actors? So I've done every single piece of that at one level, at least at that tiny little level.
That's awesome. And that's good to have, because like some haunters, you see them and they're like, or some haunt owners even, they have no knowledge, they've never haunted a day in their life, they just have a bunch of money, they think it'd be cool to own one, and then the haunt falls apart within 2 years.
Exactly.
You know, and you're like, shit.
How many times has that story been?
Yes. How many haunts have I worked in like that?
Or the other side, and you get the guys who only know haunting and don't know anything about the business side of things, and they can't figure out how come they can never make the business side work. And I'm like, that's because you're spending all of your money on all this cool stuff in the haunt, but you have no money left over for next season.
Right.
Right. Got to be thinking ahead.
You really got to have both in order to succeed.
Yeah. It's a lot, and I don't think a lot of people even realize that, because I hear it all the time. They're like, "Man, we should open up this haunt," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you also need like 7 acres of land, and like, you know, let's
I
be
hope you're
real about it."
Fire departments, because you're gonna be by the end of this experience,
Right?
Right.
God,
Is fire code something you guys really struggle with out there at Terra in the Corn?
Not too terribly bad, actually. It does help that we're outdoors and that we're pretty spread out. So, I mean, obviously, we've got the same things that every haunt has. We have our emergency evacuation plan. We've got fire suppression systems. We've got fire extinguishers everywhere. You know, all of that stuff. And so far, we haven't had any issues with the local fire departments since I've been there in 2020 that I know of.
cool.
That's awesome. I just didn't know if they're like, oh,
Extra hard on you guys.
It probably helps that Michael and Bart do all of our building for us, and that between the two of them, they have something like 60 years worth of experience. So they kind of know what they're doing.
Maybe.
just a little bit.
It's little.
I let them handle the build side of things as much as possible because that's their forte.
I see. And what is your forte for Terror in the Corn?
My forte, I'm the production manager, so I'm in charge of the actual production itself. Essentially, I'm in charge of all of the people. I also write the show. I come up with the roles. I decide, ultimately what type of makeup and costume this particular person ought to be wearing, so that it all makes sense in it, and then it gels as the customer goes through the different attraction. This is the way that we've guaranteed that no two actors are doing the exact same thing in that haunted attraction. Which, we've, one of our reviews mentioned that, every single one of our actors had a comeback for them, but nobody said the same thing. It was always a different comeback. And I'm like, good, then they're listening to their training and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's the piece that I add to the haunted attraction. I do also make some of the little decorations and things like that and kind of help spruce it up. And when they need an extra set of hands, I'm out there helping them. But primarily, I'm in the office working on, right now I'm coming up with next year's employee expectations guide, trying to update that from last year based on the challenges that we had this past year.
Nice.
Yeah, I know you guys have a lot of different actors, so.
We hire over 200 actors every year. And
Shut up.
I managed to retain probably about 60 or 70% of those by the end of the year.
That's
There
not
are
bad at
some
all.
people that just come on board thinking that they can do this and they just don't work
No.
out. But if you've got haunting in your spirit, we can make you succeed at tearing the corn. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Oh
we
yeah.
treat our employees very, very well. And I think you guys have been through our show. I think you guys can feel that the people are actually in there having fun and
Yeah.
enjoying their night and enjoying their work. And I think that helps bring a better show.
You guys
Right.
had two guys, I guess they were scarecrows.
Yeah.
And they made us guess a name or some shit, and we guessed the name, and he was like flabbergasted that we figured it out. But then when we went through the second time, we were calling out for him.
Uh-huh.
And the other one heard it first and was like, wait a minute, how'd you know our name? And we're like, so we just immediately started playing with them, but they were so into character. It was so fun to like, because they weren't in character, but they were still, because they were still playing like the dumb scarecrow, and it was perfect.
Second, those two guys put those masks and costumes on, they're never out of character. They disappear and Ted appears. There's only one Ted, even though there's two of them. They're
Yep.
both Ted. They share the identity. And let me tell you a little secret for this year. I've already commissioned 2 more of those Ted costumes. So I'm going to have 4 Teds out there this year.
Shut up.
Being the exact same person. So they'll be popping in and out of the corn at you. You'll never know where a Ted may or may not be.
That was by far one of the coolest scenes. That and the kid in the or the guy in, what was it? The he was like a
General
teller.
store.
The general store. The
But
little robot. Oh
General
my
store.
fucking God. I used to do robot stuff when I was like 18, 19 out at Kings Island, but Jesus Christ, that was good.
He's amazing. And to stand in the room behind him and listen to the things that customers say as they go around that corner. I mean, I've literally heard customers be like, no, there's no way that's a real person. I looked right into his eyes. They were cold and dead like an animatronic.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to laugh right in front of these customers. I'm supposed to be a scary guy. Later that night, I actually told him that the customers said that. I was like, I don't know what you're doing to your eyes, but your soullessness is perfect, man.
I do a thing where I quit blinking for a real long time, and he did the exact same thing that I do. And I was watching him, and I was like, man, that's really fucking good. Like, now I understand why people get creeped out when I do it. And I'm like, okay.
Yep. And he figured probably 5 or 6 different animatronic movements, and he would just go back and forth on those different programs. So he would kind of just move back and forth. He could do a special turn thing. He would look right at you, and then he'd turn away and look away. And then, of course, he's got that pop scare that he does right at the very end.
Goodness.
And I'm still trying to figure out how his back lets him do that all night, every night. Because we have thousands of customers come through, and that boy never misses a scare.
No, he was on it.
That guy's got to be so flexible to be able to do what he does, you know?
Like, I could do the forward movements and stuff like he does, but when he goes back, like, he's all the way back.
He vanishes behind that counter.
And watching him on that Scare Factor review when they showed the walkthrough and they put his up, and I was like, that just solidifies that I wasn't losing my mind when we walked through, because he did it again. I was like, my God, that's good.
Yeah, he is not an animatronic. He is a human being, folks. I promise you. But if you've seen the viral video that's out there that Scare Factor put up, you cannot necessarily tell between the makeup, the costume, the lighting, and the way that he acts. He is an animatronic boy during that show.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and what really stuck out to me is just the amount of theming you guys are able to do out there. It's quite amazing what you do with what you've got. It was really awesome. And there's some really good animatronics too.
I appreciate.
There's a couple that actually, like, usually actors don't got me, but there's a couple of your animatronics that got me a little bit, because they were just like
dog.
Yeah, placed in the weird spot, like right.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'll let you in on another little secret. We did just buy about 11 more animatronics that are going into the haunt this year. So look forward to that. We are going to be adding a few more. The one thing about, Michael Bart and I all share this philosophy that a true good haunted house needs to be a balance of static props, animatronic props, and actors to keep customers on their toes. So and I think we do a pretty good job of you don't exactly know when you're inside that haunt who's real and who's not. And there's motion everywhere, and we're using lighting effects to try to create motion places. And I think folks really are starting to pick up. The one of the things that I was really happy is that I was really trying this year to push the story so that when you were in Raven's Gulch, you felt like you were in a Wild Western town. But then when you were in Demetra's realm, which was more of a magical realm with more creatures and magic, and we did more fog machines and vining and things like that with plant magic. And the customers were really able to pick up when they were in one realm versus when they were in the other. So I was proud of that I didn't even have to have my actors tell them that, they could just tell by the surroundings that we built, which is really what we were going for. And we're just going to mention that more in the next couple of years.
Hell yeah. It was super good transitions. Like I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah. It's really, really awesome. So what is some of your biggest challenges in your job that you do at Terra in the Corn?
I mean, this isn't even haunting related, but trying to manage over 200 people in any line of work, that's my biggest challenge. You've got a lot of egos, you've got a lot of personalities. In my case, there's a lot of times because we hire as young as 16. So a lot of these kids, this is their very first job that they've ever had. And I have to kind of teach them how to work because they don't know exactly. So that sometimes is a challenge, trying to teach them, how come when I worked today, don't I get paid tomorrow? Well, that's not how jobs work, son. Well,
right. You might get paid 6 months from now. No. No, that's cool.
I mean, just trying to keep everything afloat and working and keep everybody happy and keep the culture, up and positive is literally the biggest challenge that I have. And I'll admit sometimes I don't, I'm not the most positive person at work like I would wish to be, but I do my best, because if I go down and I start being negative, then what's everybody below me going to start doing?
Exactly.
So everything kind of hinges on my performance and the way that I act. Because if I'm going to ask you to do something, or if I'm going to ask you to behave a certain way, I need to make sure that I'm acting that specific way as well. People aren't going to know what you say as much as they're going to watch what you do.
Exactly. They're always watching. Oh, well, so-and-so jumped off that thing. I'm going to jump off it too. No, quit.
Right.
You're going to break your ankle.
How come
there's a reason
allowed to do that, and I'm not allowed to do that?
All the time. Why do they get to carry a weapon and I can't carry a real fucking machete?
Right.
Probably because you just started yesterday and you trip over your own feet 3 times every 10 seconds. That's why you're not carrying real weapons. Sorry.
Well, that's the biggest thing, come in with your head down and your ego in check, and I'll probably let you do just about anything that you want eventually. But if you come in, looking me in the eye and telling me this is what I do and this is the only thing that I can do, then we may have a little bit of a problem, especially if the one thing that you can do doesn't fit into our Wild West late 1800s setting. You know, I've noticed that a lot. And sorry, I know you're not a clown, Wizzo, but you're near the clown actors. And I get this a lot with clown actors. And we don't have a single clown because there were no clowns in the Wild West. So it doesn't make sense for our theme. And trying to get that through people's heads sometimes is a little bit difficult. I mean, I apologize that you can't wear clown makeup, but it doesn't make sense for us.
No, I totally get that. I went out to Sinister Sydney this year to guest act out in Nebraska or Iowa, Nebraska, and he had told me they hire underage kids as well, like, or teens and stuff, and family and friends and whatever. But their whole clown section is nothing but the children. And
Oh,
he
wow.
was like, I don't put adults in there that look like clowns. And I was like, totally cool. I've got a whole other character I can be right now.
That's
So
awesome.
I played my janitor character in Out into the Woods. You know what I mean?
Bravo for having a backup character, because so many people don't have that option available to them. And if they can't do that one thing that they're used to or that one thing that they're good at, they totally fall apart.
Yeah, because I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. Like, I totally get that and I understand. And I'm down for whatever you need me to do. Hell, if you want me to sell tickets, I'm down to sell tickets. Like,
Right.
I'm guest acting. So I'm not, I'm not going to walk in and be like, nah, fuck this. I own everything.
Exactly.
No.
And as well, you come in, you shut your mouth, you keep your head down, and you kind of just get the lay of the land before you make any decrees or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like as an actor, like a runner, it's very rarely when I speak up and say something, and so it feels like it has impact when I say something to management about something, because I rarely say anything. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
and
I
that
think that
as a manager, like, you guys are our eyes and ears, the actors, the frontline employees. But if you're telling me about every single squeaky wheel that ever happens,
yeah,
it gets hard for me to separate the wheat from the chaff and figure out what's really important and deal with. We had a lot of issues with that this year with our security team, because our actors were so sensitive to every little thing that the customers did. You guys are haunt actors, it can be kind of brutal in there sometimes from those customers.
Oh,
And what ended up happening is we were getting security calls every time a customer got in somebody's face and screamed at them or tried to sneak behind them and get a scare on them or whatever. They felt like they were attacked, so they were trying to call security. And our security team ended up running all over that mile-long extravaganza, just trying to keep up with all of those. So
yeah,
one of the things that I'm gonna try to work on this year is kind of teaching them what is an emergency versus what is just sometimes people aren't very nice inside that attraction, and we just have to deal with that.
yeah. And I say is running like I do. I deal with that directly, making that decision of, oh, when do I tell the eyes in the sky in the office to get security, and when I'm like, oh, this actor's kind of, you need to take it back a minute. Like it's a
or
high
do we
it's a
just have
high
to watch
intense.
him for a minute, and then pass him off to the next runner or what,
Yeah, and one of my big complaints about this past season at Hellscream is anytime there's an emergency, there's like 5 people there instantly, and some nights it felt like uh, some of our actors and stuff like that were trying to crucify people for really minor stuff. And it's like
Yeah.
these people paid money to come get entertained, and
Right.
their anxiety is going to be way up here because they already know it's an
I
intense
know,
experience.
when we scare the hell out of these people, they are gonna act unpredictably sometimes.
And
Be prepared for that.
in the way
Yeah,
that some of our haunts are, is like, you guys know, because we're themed, we're putting you through a half hour, 45-minute movie.
Uh-huh.
That's what we're doing. And these people are completely taken out of reality and put into our movie now.
Right.
And you hear people all the time when they're watching a horror movie, they're like, oh, well, I'd have fucking hit that monster. Well, these people are really trying to hit us because we're really trying to kill them,
Exactly.
or
They
kill
don't
them.
think that the scary thing behind that mask is really a 16-year-old girl who has school tomorrow. I mean,
yeah, yeah. And that's
She's
just
worried about her homework. She don't care about you.
right. That's just also training too, just, the arm's length rule.
yep.
Arm and a
Yeah.
half if you're short.
I push that as much as possible. But I don't know about you guys, but have you noticed with the younger kids especially that the toughness level just isn't quite where it used to be? Like,
Yeah.
the analogy that I keep coming up with is, especially with a lot of my first years this year, I felt like you could tell that they've never ridden their bike and fallen off and skinned their knee and had to pick that bike up and walk it home crying with blood running down their leg
Right.
because the bike
Rock's still in it.
like that used to be something that every single one of us had been through at some point in time, and you can just tell that these kids don't do that kind of stuff anymore. So
Right.
now when they're uncomfortable, it feels like they're under attack, and I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
sweetie, oh, no.
This is the wrong business for you.
And there's some though that'll surprise the shit out of you, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I did have a fair number of those this year as well. But yeah, I'm trying to combat so that it doesn't hurt so bad, quote unquote, for them. When
I was a kid, we had all the dangerous toys. Had dirt bikes, go-karts, bows and arrows, BB guns, lawn darts, horseshoes.
The most dangerous game, lawn darts.
You know, I love that game. God. Here, I'm gonna throw a giant fucking metal dart in the air. Run real fast. Hopefully it don't stab you.
This can only end badly.
Yeah.
But I would say it's important for kids to get out there and experience the world and hurt themselves. It's part of growing up, right?
Exactly. So that's kind of been one of my challenges this off season is I need to try to figure out how to get them a little bit tougher, a little bit more out of their heads so that they can just play and have fun. Because once you figure out just to play, hunt acting becomes real easy, real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I can't attest to customers being shit because some of them have been shit this season and prior, and I will say this year was probably the worst as far as like mouthy wise, you know, just want to get in your face for no reason whatsoever. And I'm like, why? You're coming for me to scare you, so just shut the fuck up and let me scare you.
Right. You gave me money to scare you. Why are you bucking up on me now?
Yeah. Yeah, don't quit being a douchebag.
So I'm not the one sick then, Wizzo. I can see.
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of like dealing with the mouthy people because like I've worked in a kitchen like all my adult life. And what do line cooks and chefs do all day?
Ex galore.
It's just talk shit all day long. So I'm like, bring it. Like there's nothing you can tell me that's going to hurt my feelings.
For me out there playing around like that, that's all I'm doing is the same stuff that me and my friends used to do in high school with each other in the hallways. But, you know, nowadays people think that if you say a bad word or if you say something that you're not supposed to say, that the world's going to end. And then, you know, you say it and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that.
I'll slip a cuss word in every once in a while when I'm Wizzo because he sounds like a 2-year-old, like Muppet. And as soon as he'll pop out that little cartoon fuck or something, it's amazing.
Yeah. I love to live and die on innuendos and euphemisms. So I say a whole lot of things that sound like they could be dirty, but you've got to be a little dirty in order to pick that up. Or it's going to go right over your head.
It's fair.
That's kind of my specialization is I play with the kind of dirty old man trope. You know, I'm out there with my cob of corn and here, I can show you right now. Hold on.
Oh, he's got the cob of corn.
He's got it. I love it.
Honest to God, I coated this thing in urethane 3 years ago. This is corn from Jim Anderson's cornfield at Anderson Farms. And I coated the whole thing in urethane so that I could keep it as a prop and use it year after year. And I will sit there and I will stroke my corn and I will love and nuzzle on my corn. And people get so nervous, you know, and then I'll offer them my corn, you know, which is just Alan Hopsold, you know, let me show you my thing trick. But people get so freaked out if I'm nuzzling it and then I offer it to you. Like they don't want to touch that thing anymore. So,
it's fair. Or you start talking to it like it's an actual person. That's kind of my thing. Is this year I think I talked to myself because I had two faces, but in past years, like my thing's been, oh, I have this banana. I'm gonna name the banana and talk to it like it's a real person. That freaks people out.
I spent an entire night this year with one of our crows that had fallen off the crow shack, and one of the actors had handed to me. So I walked around just petting this dead crow and trying to get customers to play with my dead crow and telling them that I'm sorry he didn't move around too much. I think he has a touch of autism. So that's why. And people are like, you told customers that? I'm like, yeah, I told customers that. Like, why not? It's all
thing, like you can say that to certain groups and you can read groups if you know what you're going to say. Like,
exactly.
There's certain people that you know for a fact you can say things to. Right. Because of how they're walking through the haunt, how they're looking at things.
Their body language, the way they're interacting with each other will tell you everything that you need to know and how you tailor that act so that they can have the most fun without offending them. Because
Right.
I can tell that they're a very uptight, very by the book kind of group. There's certain things in my act I just won't pull out for them.
Exactly. They get the want to hear a scary noise? Rawr. And that's it. You know what I mean? And then I'm done. I'm like, all right, see you later.
And that type of group, that'll probably work on them.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I've done that multiple times and it's worked. I would probably say 4 out of 10 times. And that's enough for me. And I'm like, you know what? That's perfect. I'm good.
Well, and then, like any good haunt actor, don't be afraid to fail. Like, I don't care if my act falls flat on you. I control my act. You, the customer, do not control my act. So they're literally sitting there. The customer's in my face trying to say this, do that. I won't play into any of that. You don't control my act, customer. I do. So then I say what I want to say, and then I walk away. Or I'll sit there and stare at you and just not say anything and just let them try to goad me into it. I'm like, I'm not your trained monkey, guys. Like, I'm not going to do what you want me to do.
I look at them and go, well, that's dumb. And then turn around and walk right away. And then their friends will laugh and like,
I call that your escape line. Have an escape line that you can just throw like a grenade and then just turn around and walk the other direction. And by the time they're done dealing with that line, you're gone. Especially if you're in the haunt, you're probably behind a wall and literally gone by that point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or if they're annoying, I'll just out annoying them. People hate that. And I think it's the
hilarious.
funniest thing ever. If somebody's like being annoying or thinking like some straight dude with his girlfriend thinking he blew me a kiss, I was like, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
I'll kiss you on your lips. I don't care.
And that's just basic improv. I will yes and anything a customer throws at me. I will take anything you say to me at face value. I will accept that as truth.
Oh shit.
Geez. Earthquake.
Ghosts.
All right. I think I'm back.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, I don't have the most professional setup here, guys. I don't.
Oh, you're good.
I've got my laptop on my lap. It is literally laptopping right now.
This is a first for me. You guys, I've never been on a podcast before, so.
Yeah, we're finding that a lot of people, at least a lot of people I've reached out to, and I think Wizzo can say the same, that a lot of people in the haunt industry just have not been on a podcast or don't have a place to talk about what they do. And so that's kind of the thought behind this,
Which is the nice about what you guys do. Absolutely. Giving a voice to the voiceless almost.
Yeah, just like chilling, hanging out. We're not ever limited to one show. If you want to come back for a second, third, fourth, and fifth, bam, we talk about anything. We don't care.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
I think we talked to Sean about race cars the other day.
Yeah, like 3 episodes ago or something like that.
Yeah,
we went down a whole rabbit hole about racing because it was like right around that time when the Las Vegas F1 race happened.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah. Haunting.
So
if you could build your own room any way you specifically want, not necessarily a Terror in the Corn, just any room in general, what would you build?
I have always wanted to do a crazy clock room. I have had this vision for a room where you walk in as a customer and it's clocks, 50, 60, maybe 70 clocks in there, all over floor to ceiling, ticking, all set to different times. And just how disturbing that would be, just ticking everywhere, just as much as I can possibly put in there. So I don't know. We're talking about at Terror in the Corn possibly doing something with clocks here in the next year or two. But that's always been my dream that I haven't been able to do. Is I've always wanted to do a clock room because I think that would be very disconcerting when you go in there and it's just all different times and ticking every which way. And as the customers are kind of taking this all in, that's when you hit them from behind or from the side with your actor scare.
Maybe have a clock monster.
A giant cuckoo clock.
Right?
And the monster comes out as a fucking cuckoo bird.
Oh my God, that would be cool.
Get like a wood suit and make him look like a wood fucking bird. Or like the little wood axe man, you know what I'm talking about? Oh,
any of those. You could do steampunky kind of stuff with like gears and clock stuff on his makeups and
a Tin
do all the
Man's
cool stuff.
a Tin Man style character.
That's always been something that I've had in my back pocket that I wanted to pull out and never have been able to.
That'd
Right.
be cool as shit.
You can pump the ticking sound in with like a Bluetooth speaker or something like that. So it's like
Absolutely
really
If
loud and gets
I
into their
could get
head.
all those clocks ticking and throw in some speaker sounds of more ticking sounds.
Yeah.
The beginning of time by Pink Floyd is probably a good starting point for where I want from.
Right. And then
Hell
maybe
yeah.
the next room could be just like a room of like
Absolute
alarms going
silence.
off. You walk in there and it's just alarm clocks.
Oh God.
Or the cuckoo birds going off, you know?
I feel bad for that actor that has to work in that alarm clock room. Oh my God.
They're gonna go nuts. Be prepared for that one. That's gonna be a Heath Ledger scene where they're just like and they're driving home. TikTok.
If you make me mad, I put you in the alarm clock room.
Yeah, no shit. If you show up late for makeup, that's your room.
Yep. There's your punishment.
You're gonna have someone that's really into TikTok. You're not gonna tell them what the room is, and they're like, "Yeah, I want to be in the TikTok room taking videos." And they get in there, and they're dressed in a clock suit.
Or just get them a Flava Flav clock, and then they can just come out and just Flava Flav, and then go back in.
That's the whole scare.
I like that idea.
And a chainsaw. No.
That's an awesome idea, though. That's really, really cool. See, when you say clock room, I don't know if you ever played Mario 64 back in the day, but there's a clock level in Mario 64 where you like the whole level is like the inside of a clock, basically. That's what I thought of. Anyway.
Oh.
Yeah.
Neat.
That's cool, though. That's a neat idea. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's a neat idea. Yeah. So, when you worked for City of the Dead, what was some of your challenges like working in a circus tent and dealing with all that different stuff?
Well, I mean, it's cold. Number one, that tent does absolutely nothing to keep you warm. It'll keep the wind off of you. It'll kind of keep the rain off of you, but it does nothing for the cold. So that was a big challenge. One of the big things we noticed too is depending on the weather temperature is where our fog sat. So we would turn on all the fog machines, and if it was a warm day, all your fog floats up to the top of the ceiling, and you don't have any fog in the haunt anymore. So that was a challenge. But then you get those nice cold days where the fog sits low and you can just disappear by taking 2 steps back. That's kind of my favorite way to haunt right there. Like that's enough fog for me, is if you can barely see your hand in front of your face.
Yeah.
I have a lot of fog though.
Yeah. I'm allergic. It's my favorite thing. I'm allergic.
Or the fog's triggering my asthma. I'm like, well, okay. I don't know that it can do that, but all right.
Yeah.
I have sarcoidosis in both my lungs, so I really do have a hard time in like heavy fog. But like if I know I can get through within like a minute, I'm good. Like there was a few haunts out in Nebraska that they have like a whole section where it's nothing but fog, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. It's too much vapor in my lungs was getting to me, and I was like, I just can't breathe. I'm sorry, guys. you know,
I'd sit in there and work in that room all night long. Please just punch.
Yeah.
Like I can work in it, but it's just like if it's too much, then I'm like, nope.
Yeah. And your guys' 2 laser swamps that turn the corner, it's amazing how much you got like your fog to sit in there. They look amazing. Like you would think it would be like inside of like an actual building because it stays in there so well.
It is inside of an actual building. The only thing it doesn't have is ceilings, but we built, wall panel, especially that red laser tunnel is basically just a hallway that people go through with wall panels on either side. And then we cover it with camo netting. So to hold as much of the fog in as we possibly can. But we lose quite a bit out the top, but it absolutely works really well.
Yeah.
You can scare factor walkthrough video, especially that green laser swamp, how well that popped on that video. I could not believe how nice that looked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked great.
Yeah, especially the one with the boat. That one, the boat's such a great touch because it fits so great in there.
Ideally, someday in the future, we're going to put that boat on some kind of mechanism so it kind of slowly rocks in the water just a little bit. But that's still in the future. So that particular boat has been sitting outside for a long time. So it's got some structural issues and trying to make it do that. But that would be my ideal. You know, you go in there and you can actually see the waves kind of just rolling that boat back and forth. Would just be kind of the je ne sais quoi in that room.
That would be good.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Yeah, what haunted house has a moving boat? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean,
Colorado, especially. Like, where do we?
I went to Madness, and they've got one that like shoots water out of it because it's like in like a little creek thing that's like crashed or whatever, and it's supposed to be like all this. I don't know. It's weird as fuck, but it's cool as hell, and it like shoots out water. There's I relieve that guy for a break. The guy who controls the water cannon, and he also controls like a collapsing bridge that they have to walk across. And so I go relieve him, and he has the best job in the entire haunt. He sits in a recliner behind a wall in a curtain, and he just pushes. Yeah, he has two controllers, and he pushes one button to drop them on the thing and pull them back up, and he pushes another button and shoots the water up, and that's it. Yeah. It's by far the greatest position ever.
That's the boss's favorite person's position right there.
Yeah. And then like somebody will like try to come in the little curtain area because you kind of can't figure out if you go in that way or the way you're supposed to. And they'll pop their head in. So my thing was like, hey, I'm peeing here. Or, you know, I ain't got no pants on. Get out of here. And they hurry up and turn around, you know, and that was like the end of it. I'm like, this is easy as shit.
So that South Park bit, it was a ghost, I swear.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
That'd be neat. Have a little floaty boat.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, really, really, like I said, really, really amazing. That swamp's really well done there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, did you go to that big haunt tour or whatever? How was that?
The legendary haunt tour up around Salem, Massachusetts. Yep, we just did that last month. And that was absolutely amazing. That's the first time I'd ever been on a legendary haunt tour, so I didn't quite exactly know what to expect, but man, we had a good time. We got to see Barrett's Haunted Mansion. We got to go see Fright Kingdom, and then we got to see Haunted Overload, which was kind of the main attraction because that place, man, they have the biggest, baddest sets I have ever seen. Eric over there at Haunted Overload is a true artist. The daytime walkthrough that we had was almost better than the nighttime walkthrough because you could see everything in the daylight and just see the artistry that went into building everything. And I mean, you know, at one point I'm standing in there and I'm staring at this and I look over and I'm like, that's Castle Grayskull and that's Skeletor staring down Castle Grayskull. Like, that's just a cool touch, man. Like,
yeah. I've been watching his art for a while now, and I'm just like, I'm blown away every time there's a new piece, and I'm like, I wish I could do that again.
Yeah, we used him for inspiration on a couple of different places. You can tell on our Pumpkin Bridge that we used some inspiration from Haunted Overload there. But that's kind of our little touch, our little homage to them. But they did there was so many pumpkins out at that place. They told me that they had a crew of 12 people just to light the candles in all of those pumpkins. And it took those 12 people a half an hour to get the show ready. And all they did was light candles in pumpkins.
Shut up.
Like actual candles?
Those are all real jack-o'-lanterns, real pumpkins that they carved with real candles in them with fire burning. Those aren't LED candles in all those millions and millions and millions of pumpkins.
No way.
Jack-o'-lanterns. You can smell the pumpkin smell as the night goes on and the fire heat up the top of the jack-o'-lanterns. It adds a touch to it that, I mean, it brings back Halloween like you were a kid again.
God, that's so cool. God damn, that's cool.
That is cool. That's crazy though. 12 people, half an hour. Could you imagine just lighting like that many candles?
Hours worth of employee work that's almost a full day's worth of work just to light pumpkins.
Right.
Nope.
And like, how do they carve all those pumpkins? Like, what's the game plan for that? Do they have a team?
Have a pumpkin carving contest.
You know what I'm saying? Like
every elementary school in that area would have a carving contest, and I would keep all the pumpkins.
There you go. Just
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
And any type of slave labor you could get to help.
I would sponsor a pumpkin carving contest.
We'll call it
the winner gets like 4 free VIP tickets or something stupid, and then every elementary school in the area would be carving pumpkins for me.
Yeah, I have no idea who carves all those pumpkins for them. I don't know if their team does it or if they bring people in to help them, but the effect that it creates is phenomenal.
Yeah, I wonder.
So Halloween.
I wonder if they have to like replace, their pumpkins halfway through the season because they're too rotted and withered away.
I wouldn't imagine so. I think that would even add to it at that point.
Yeah.
Right. The only ones that may need replaced is if an animal gets to them and like eats their face off. But even that might be kind of a cool effect just to leave it.
Right. Yeah, I've seen some cool stuff online. While people. Sorry, what was that?
I said I call that kind of stuff free distressing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, the Colorado weather, free weathering.
Uh-huh.
The guys out at Sinister Sydney, when is the opening line, the guy who gives you the opening line, the guy who runs the place, Mike, or Gravedigger, he opens it up and he's like, hey, there might be, you might see dead animals. Please don't touch them. They're probably real. And he just like keeps on going. And I'm like, that's awesome. Because the entire haunt's on his land, you know what I mean? Like his farm and everything. So I'm like, that's fucking cool.
From what I've been told, they've done that at Tearing the Corn in years past. We don't do that anymore. But yeah, there's been times that they, somebody's hunted and brought in an animal and they just chuck it in the fur trapper area where it makes sense in the scene and let's let this thing rot.
Yeah.
It has happened before.
That's wild.
It works. I mean, you're outdoors. There'd be dead animals.
I would prefer some Froggy's Fog Sense to like actual rotting dead things, but that's
since you're all out in the court, you should have like and I know you have like the decapitated chickens and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You add some like impaled rodents or something like impaled rabbits or something like that.
That's not a bad idea, actually. That's not a bad idea.
That's pretty
from you.
Yeah, it's pretty barbaric if you think about it. Like, who's going to impel a poor bunny rabbit?
Right.
Use railroad spikes.
Too.
Yeah.
That could be a scene where somebody's like throwing railroad spikes at rabbits.
I mean, it was 1900. We did have to entertain ourselves strange ways back then.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. You'd get so many activists in there.
Oh yeah,
they're throwing fucking metal spikes at rabbits.
And people are complaining about more and more as time goes on, and their complaints are getting silly. We had one that gave us feedback and said we had too many scares coming from the left and not enough coming from the right. And I was like, seriously, you counted or like tracking where the scares came from? Also, I know for a fact it's about 50-50 in there.
That's such a weird critique too.
Right. How do you get that specific?
I know. I don't understand myself.
I didn't like the actors because 9 out of the 10 wore black shoes.
Right.
What?
We're in the middle of operations, and Michael Edwards messages me to tell me that we just got this complaint and to see if I could do anything about it. And I told him, well, as long as our scares from below and above are doing okay, I'm. Who's counting where the scares, which direction the scares are coming?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I don't.
That's crazy.
we've had some interesting complaints. I'm sure you guys have heard some stuff.
Oh yeah,
in your days, but
some of the stuff you read online, like that one you were saying that which I went and found that review after you said that someone was like, oh, we waited in line for like an hour and a half and then we're shoved through.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, because you guys came on the Saturday before Halloween.
right. What do you think if you at any haunted house's busiest night is going to be that Saturday before Halloween?
God, I
Anybody
never
who knows
understood.
anything knows that.
Right.
I don't understand why people bitch about being in line anyway.
I'm sorry that we're popular.
Right.
Because that's all long lines mean is that people like us and want to come see us.
You go to an amusement park and wait in line an hour and a half to 2 hours for 5 minutes worth of a roller coaster, and you can't wait 45 minutes for 45 minutes of a haunt.
Right.
Like, come on now.
Right. Yeah. Some of the entitlements is it's real, man. And
Yeah.
it's out there in this world. Everybody thinks they're special. Everybody thinks that we should cater specifically to them and nobody else. And I'm like, you don't understand that even if we let people in 5-minute intervals, some groups would still run into other groups inside that attraction.
Every single time.
East.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because we've done it on light nights where we only get a couple hundred people, where we've ran them every 10 minutes and they still fucking hit each other. And I'm like, how? You guys were the first group was on a different floor of our house and they still caught them. And I'm like, how does that even possible?
Yeah. Like
because
given the review team
dead running and some people are barely moving. And it's just it's how the fear affects them that determines which one they are. Or you get haunters like us in there that want to see everything. So we drag our feet because we're looking around at all the detailing in all the rooms and where does that fear come from?
I'm an asshole customer.
Oh my God.
I'm like, no, I want to look at everything.
Yeah. But when we went through, we let probably 4 or 5 groups through.
Yeah.
It's like past us because we're like, you don't want to be stuck. We're just moseying along.
Yeah,
here.
we would tell them like, no, we're inspecting things. You should
just what we do too. When I go through and I'm doing that is if I'm holding groups up, I'll step aside, let them go by, and then I'll continue moseying.
And I think we started mentioning that too, like at our safety spiel before people come in. That if they want to take their time, that's fine. Just step aside and let other groups pass. And I think that helped with some of the traffic issues that Hellscream struggles with this year.
That's not a bad idea. We may crib that idea as well.
It helped with a lot of complaints as well, because I know we had a lot of complaints 2 seasons ago about people not being able to pass or whatever. And this year we didn't have near as many complaints about that as we did in the past.
That's a good idea. Some people, they just need that reminder. They don't know naturally that, it's okay to pass people if somebody's going too slow in there.
Right. Oh, yeah. And me, I'll make it part of my act. You know what I'm saying? Because I can tell like the slow group, especially by the time they get to me, because I'm like, towards the end, all the traffic hits me. Wizzo can tell you. But my bit is like, if you're walking like slow and you're holding up like a line of like 30, 40, 50 people, I'll be like, how many people came with you? And then I'll pull them to a side and I have a whole bit about thank you for your cooperation. You guys want to die slowly tonight.
So you're entertaining those guys special little treat while what you're really doing is pulling that clog out of your drain so that the water can keep flowing.
Yeah.
And then while I'm talking to this group, I'll turn around and yell at somebody in the conga line and they're like, what's that guy's problem? And then when everyone passes, I'm like, all right, if you want to die slowly, that's fine. Just please let people pass. Let's go. Works very effectively.
It helps.
Yeah. And the thing you said about improv, I think that's something that all haunters can work on is like work on improv, maybe do some improv training for their actors, because I feel like that will really help. And that's something I want to get with Jesse about,
It helps build characters so much.
And we're going so far this year is we're going to be holding monthly improv classes for our cast at least January through August. and then we'll take a break because during season, obviously,
Right.
and after that you get into the holidays and it's hard to get people together. So we'll go with 8 classes a year, but we're starting to offer that. I have 2 of my actors who are really good improvers, and they've agreed to kind of captain that ship for me. So we're going to start offering honest to God improv classes for our cast, because I feel like, just like you guys, it can only help, even whether you're a line entertainer, whether you're a room actor, whether you're a zone leader or a breaker or somebody who wanders around the entire haunt. It only can help you to be able to improv and to learn how to yes and learn how to give customers back what they're giving to you in the same energy that they're directing at you, basically. That's going to shut down 90% of those assholes, you know?
Every time.
If somebody says something dickish to you and you turn around with something dickish that you throw right back, and it sounds like you just had that, you know, even if it's a line you use 100 times a night, have it ready to go, load it in your gun, so that when you need to fire it, that line's right there, boom, and it seems like you just thought of that off the top of your head. People will call you a genius.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's been, I mean, this last season, I'm really good at doing that stuff. And this last season, you know, I know for a fact there's one girlfriend who I made really, really jealous who went in there because her boyfriend was like blowing me kisses and doing all this shit. And I was like, I don't remember what I told the guy, but I was like, I know for a fact, I was like, I'll kiss you, you know. And I told him some other like super flirty stuff, you know. And his girlfriend got so jealous. It was so funny.
I can't tell you how many times me and a customer, I've decided we're going to get married. We're in love and we're going to get married. And I'm going to follow this group through the next 3 or 4 rooms talking about how we're in love and we're going to get married, just because they decided they gave me too much love. And now my character has just, my heart's melted for them. And it don't matter if you're a guy or if you're a girl or if you're somewhere in between. I don't care. Like, this is all a game to me. So
Wizzo gives no fucks.
Yep.
He also is an imaginary friend, so he don't give a flying hell what you are, who you are. He's in love with everybody. He wants to be friends with everybody. He wants to wear people for pajamas.
That's
like
awesome.
he is down for everything. Line. You know, like he's nuts. You know, and when I'm talking as Wizzo, it's literal nonsense the entire time. So the improv thing has to be a thing in my back pocket, because I'll be talking about ping pong balls and growing grass and flying in a spaceship, and it goes within seconds, you know. So
and I couldn't reproduce that a second time if I had to.
Exactly.
But in that moment, with the interaction that I was having with that person, that's what came out of my mouth, and it worked in that moment.
Yep. So I've got about 4 or 5 things, like my waffles. I talk about waffles, penguins, grandmas, and I think that's about it. But I've got those 3 things that are like guaranteed that I'll talk about. Everything else, fuck, I don't know. I'm gonna be just as surprised as you are at what comes out of my mouth.
I'm exactly the same way. I always tell people, they're like, "How are you so good at improv?" I'm like, "I'm not. I'm just good at fucking around and having fun. Like, I'm just playing out there. Like, I've never had an official improv class. These ones that we're going to be offering are going to be the first ones I've ever attended." But I've done a lot of watching Robin Williams. I've done a lot of watching George Carlin. I've done a lot of watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? You know, Richard Pryor. These kind of guys will show you
Monty Python. Yep.
Yeah.
In
one of my favorite, Dice Clay.
Andrew Dice Clay is another one. Absolutely. Yeah. I take so much from comedians. I take so much from, honestly, professional wrestling, because I've been a wrestling.
Oh my God.
You can translate most of what they're doing almost directly to what we do. We're trying to build characters the same way they are. We're trying to make people love us or hate us the same way they are. We're trying to get people's attention. We're trying to be noticeable. I mean, you know, we're
trying to invoke emotion.
There's
get some heat.
Other than the fighting aspect, which we don't engage in, there's not that much difference.
No.
Yeah.
So, you know, telling people, whatever your hobbies or your interests are, draw on those. You know, cosplayers, bring that in. Anime fanatics, bring that in, because there are elements to all of those fandoms that will help you in your haunt acting.
We've got Dustin over at Fear Complex who does like a priest crow character.
Uh-huh.
He speaks in other languages most of the time. His thing that he was saying this year was actually the alien language from Metroid. The new Metroid game. He was repeating most of what was said in that game. In the year before, or 2 years before that, I think he was using the Japanese version of Pokemon's theme song and shit. Like it was ridiculous, and it sounded terrifying because it's in Japanese. And he's like, and I was like, this is great. But he's like, yeah, it's the Pokemon theme song.
We used to have a girl at general store where that animatronic boy is. There used to be a girl that worked in there years ago who would scream at people in German, and it was the most terrifying sound.
99999.
Exactly. And I'm and so one day I asked her, I said, what is it that you're exactly saying to those people in English? And she said, I'm saying, welcome to my general store. Would you like to try any of my wares? Do you have any money? How would you like to try this? Like, it was literally the most innocent stuff that she was saying, but she was screaming it at them at the top of her lungs in German and making it sound terrifying. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what you say specifically, in as much as it is how you say it and does it tie into the act that you're trying to put forward.
Well, it helps that German is the angriest language on the planet.
You could say anything in German and it sounds like
saying I love you is like the scariest thing ever in German.
I spent a few years in Germany in my army years, so you know I can say stuff like "Entschuldigen Sie bitte, ist hier frei?" You know, and that's just "Excuse me, please, is this seat open?" Like, but because it's in German, it sounds scary. You know,
I love it.
The Speisekarte bitte. You know, I would like a menu, please. You know.
That's it. We're theming an entire haunt in German.
I'm telling you, there's something that could be said there. You're just going to have to watch yourself that you don't add any of those Nazi elements in that people want to throw into something like that.
Everybody wants to be a soldier when they do a German accent. I'm like, no, you don't. Stop. Stop it. You want to be a farmer. That's what you want to be. You want to be a German farmer.
Yes.
Want to be a gravedigger.
Yeah, right. You want to be a techno dancer. That's it.
Jeez.
You want to go to the discotheque. That's what you want to do.
You want to paint houses. That's what you
want. Right. You want to be a chimney sweep? We're okay with that.
I'm a German exterminator.
God.
Yeah. Not Nazi punks, fuck off.
Oh shit.
Yeah, with fandom, I worked like a lot of like metal bands into my acts. You know what I'm saying? Like the last 2 years.
Screamo bands specifically can teach you so much about how to haunt act.
Yeah. So
how to use that throat instead, like the different throat pitches, screaming from your belly, or my god.
Yep. Yeah. So my character the last 2 years is based off of King Diamond.
Okay.
And he in I believe in 1987 wrote this concept album called Abigail, and it's a story of possession from front to back. And basically, Abigail is a stillborn child because her mother was murdered in the house that this young couple moves into. And basically, the spirit of Abigail awakes, and the spirit of Abigail ends up taking over this dude's wife. And it's a whole story about possession. It's wild.
So it's a concept album.
Yeah. It's a King Diamond album. Yeah, it's really, really, really great. It takes place in the 1800s.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like
things do.
Yeah, the wife, her husband killed, her in the 1700s on the 7th day of 1777. So it's the 7th month of the 7th day of 77. Anyway, and then the young couple, they get married and they inherit this house, and that's how the story progresses.
Okay.
It's really, really crazy. But yeah, I've taken in for like stuff from like Guar
Yep.
and just stuff like that. Because gore's, obscene.
I've added elements of gore into a scene before out in Kentucky. There was like a little haunt I was working at, and I added some of the gore elements to a scene. It was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Gore.
Go.
Yeah.
I've seen them live in concert before. It's a
me too.
show.
They're so much fun.
That's why this vest is purple.
I made a point to get balcony seats when I saw them though, because I did not want to get covered in slime. So
That's so funny. I've always thought like something like it's kind of like a gore show, but it's like a haunted house where you just get like soaked in like fake blood and alien cum and all kinds of different shit.
See, I think cool. If you were in a warm environment, that would be easier to do than here in Colorado, where it's cold in October.
Down like Florida, South Texas, maybe.
Right. Those guys get away with stuff like that way easier than we can. I feel so bad about trying to spray somebody down, knowing that it could be 32 degrees on some nights.
Right. Yeah.
Make them sign a waiver.
Last year, our first blizzard, I worked with a guy, and him and his girlfriend just moved to Colorado Springs from Florida, and he never lived outside of Florida in his life.
He's dying.
And he lived on the beach. And the first week they were here was like that first like big blizzard we had last year. And I was like, do you miss Florida yet?
Is he shivering?
Yeah, fuck. Why did I choose to walk to work?
Love it.
Yeah, I know you guys lost a few days this year because of the weather.
Yeah, we lost 2 days because of that snowstorm that you were talking about.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's a real crazy thing you guys have to deal with out there.
It is. I mean, in the 3 years that I've been there previously, we've been shut down because of weather or in some cases fire from the wildfires. We got shut down because of the wildfire smoke one night because you couldn't even breathe to be outside. Like you could look up onto the mountain and see it glowing, like the fire was so close to us.
Damn.
So we've gotten, I mean, being outdoors, you have to deal with all of this, rain, snow, sleet, cold temperatures, hot temperatures, the smoke from the wildfires. It's just all part of haunting when you're an outdoor haunt.
Right. At least the wildfires, you could have made it part of the gimmick. You gave them a gas mask when they got there,
Get out, let's go.
Problem being, we have about 700 people inside that haunt at any given time, and I don't want to buy that many gas masks.
Or out of paper mache, nobody will know the difference.
Yeah, or hand them those like cheap COVID masks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right. Here you go. This will protect you.
Spray them with Flex Seal, so it's like rubbery, and then they'll think that it's real.
Spray it with Flex Seal. Flex Seal.
I use that shit for everything. I love that stuff.
It's amazing. Yeah. Great stuff in Flex Seal.
It's like liquid duct tape.
Yes.
How can you go wrong?
Yes.
Right. I've always wanted to try that stunt, in the advertisement for Flex Seal, how they paint the bottom of the boat with the screen door.
It does not work.
I've always wanted to try that stunt just to know.
Wizzo says he doesn't think it'll work.
Yep. Nope.
Would you try it?
I've been a hillbilly my whole life. I know it ain't gonna work.
I've redneck fixed enough stuff during my
right.
It ain't gonna work.
Damn. They lied to us.
I mean, it might work like if you were gonna like float some supplies across the lake or something, but I don't think it's carrying humans for a while.
No.
It's a fun thought though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good idea.
Imagine like these Vikings are like rowing. Oh shit, we've got a hole in our boat. Get the Flex Seal.
Flex Seal. Slap a stick on.
Their missile hits a boat. Get the Flex Seal.
Shit.
Military grade Flex Seal.
There you go.
This.
Stupid. Well, I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
Tell folks some of your social media and all
Uh,
that good stuff.
My social media?
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you have any that you would like to promote?
just tearing the corn.
I've got my Facebook. It's under my own name, Michael Caneva. I'm on Instagram under the same name. Those were really the only two platforms I really use. I have a couple other accounts out there, but I don't ever log into them. So I'm pretty much Facebook and Instagram, and that's about it.
For
Fair.
sure.
Heck
Cool.
yeah.
And tearing the corn, right?
Go to tearingthecorn.com. Go to Tearing the Corn's Facebook. If you see you'll start to see from March until we close in November 1st, you'll see character profiles every Thursday that we put out with specific actors. I write all of the profiles for all of that and put that together. So that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. So that'll be exciting. So keep an eye on Tearing the Corn, and we've got a lot of exciting things coming up this year. We've got a bunch of big plans.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, gentlemen.